Now let's talk about layer wrapping. Let's say that layer wrapping is some kind of like a special feature in Revit. We will take a look on this in our floor plans. So let's go here with the wall. And in this example, we will use this type of wall. Let's draw it here. I will put this on the consistent color so we will be better able to see it. So it can be only for walls. I mean for wall compound structures. You cannot do it for floors or roofs compound structures. It is not possible for tapered walls. It can either wrap at inserts or wrap at ends of the wall or on both. This is the type parameter of the wall. If I go here into the edit type, you can see here wrapping at inserts and wrapping at ends. So first we will talk about the wrapping at ends parameter. Here now it is set to none. You can choose exterior or interior. We will go with the exterior. The exterior says to me that it will go from the exterior side of the wall, which can be represented or which is represented by these blue arrows. So it will go from exterior side to the interior side. So it will go like this, the wrapping. The interior will go from the interior side to the exterior side. So if I go again to the type properties, and I will set this one to, let's say, first exterior. Now you can see that what it did to my wall, that it wrapped the layers from this compound structure around the core layer up until it met with the interior side or the interior layers of this wall. So if I go here, you can see that it wrapped all 3 layers. And this is because in my edit type, in my structure, in my compound structure here, you can see that I have all of these layers set to be wrapping. What I can change here now, let's say that I do not want to wrap this cavity fill and air. I want to wrap only the common brick. So I can uncheck this value, this parameter. And now you can see the difference if I hit the OK and apply. You can see that only the layer, which is the brick common, this one exterior layer, is wrapping to the inside. The next thing here is that it will wrap the layer from like the exterior side outside of the core boundary to the interior side outside of the core boundary. If I move this layer to the core boundary like this, hit OK and check here the difference, hit apply, you can see that now it wrapped all the way through. The next thing is that if it's inside of the core boundary, you can see that it is grayed out, so the layers inside of the core boundary cannot wrap. So if you have set it to, like, if you have a composition that everything is inside of the core boundary, this wrapping will not affect this. So if I go again outside, now I will show you the another one, which is from the interior to exterior. Let's hit OK. So now you can see that my interior layer, this one gypsum mold board, is wrapping all around here up until this layer, which is brick common. The next thing you can see here that you can play here with is this function, which we were talking about before. And you can see that here my finish 5 is wrapping up until this finish 4. So if I want to wrap it until the finish, let's say to this air or this cavity fill, I need to change this function property, let's say to 3, hit OK, apply. Now you can see that it is not wrapping all the way to my exterior or the most exterior layer, but only to this one. So if I change this to structure 2, now you can see that it is wrapping only to this layer. So you can play with this. Let's say, let's put this on the structure 2, 3, 4. So now you can see that the 2 connects with the 2. Now if I change this to 1, it will also connect with the 2. hit apply, you can see it's the same. Now if I change this to the function layer 3, you can see that it will connect with the 3 like this. And if I go to with 4 or 5, it will connect to this brick common layer. So you can change or you can control this behavior with the function property of these layers. So let's put it back to finish 5. I will leave it like this. And apply and OK. So this is wrapping at ends. Now we will take a look on wrapping and inserts. I will choose the window from here. Let's say this double hung window. And if I put it inside of my wall, I will change this to be on the exterior side. Here you can see that in this family there is a window inset which can move like the inset of this window. I will put it to 187. So here 187. So now you can see that it is inside or in this layer of the brick. And now let's say that I want to wrap my layers like this to the window. So how I can control this is here inside the type properties of the wall is wrapping and inserts. You can see that here now I have do not wrap. You can have exterior, interior or both. And then there is also the setting inside of the family, which is a type property, which is called wall closure. And if I have set it to by host, it will be driven by this parameter of the wall. So this one. But I can override this and I can change it to be the type parameter of this one. So you can see that I can choose by host, neither or interior, exterior or both. Here in this example, we will take a look on the both. So let's hit OK. And now you can see what it did. It's something like this. I will now take a look on this. You can see that this distance of the wrapping, here we cannot even see the wrapping. It is controlled by something. And in this example, or in all of the examples, but in the Windows family, it is driven, if we go to the family itself, and let's go to the reference plane or reference level, you can see that we have here many reference planes, and some of them are here, which is this interior wall closure, and this reference plane is set to be wall closure. So this reference plane will control the extents until which the wrapping will happen. So this interior wall closure. And here on the exterior side we have another reference plane which is set to be wall closure, and this is the exterior wall closure. So back in my project, you can see that here in my parameters, I have exterior wall closure and interior wall closure. So these two parameters are controlling the distance of the wrapping in this family of the window. So let's put this to, let's say, 50. Now you can see that I was able to change this. Let's go to 100. You can see that it is driven by this parameter. So I will leave it to 50. And now here on the exterior side, let's go to 187 to be matching this one. 187. So now you can see that it wrapped like this. And again, if only one or both of them are wrapping is the parameter or the setting of this structure. So you can see, let's see like this, side by side. So you can see that now only the brick common from the exterior is wrapping. If I put my air as well to be wrapping and hit OK, apply, you can see that even air layer is now wrapping. So I will leave this to be only on the brick common. So now on the first view it looks good, but actually me personally I'm not using it and I do not think that it is usable in the projects. And the one thing is that here in this floor plan you can see that it is working, and it is working, let's say, quite well. But if I go to my section view and I will change this to fine level and consistent colors, you can see that here this layer wrapping is not happening. So in the seal I would probably not need it because there would be a seal, but in the head of the window I would definitely want my gypsum wall board to go like this, and probably even this one. Like, it depends on the details, but this is the one thing which is making this tool unusable for me, because it is only happening in floor plan. The next thing is that, let's say that I would put this to be not 50 but 170, so it will meet with this one. Let's say like this. Let's imagine that it would be not masonry units, but let's say concrete cast in situ, like even with masonry units. But you can see that now if I would try to use my turning off of the non-core layers which we were talking about before, you can see that I would have actually bigger opening that I want here. So this is the first thing which is making this tool unusable for me. The next one is, if I go to this view again, is that, let's say that I want to dimension my opening. I will change, or I will delete this. And if I put the dimension here, you can see that it is checking the reference planes like this. So I have 600. And I mean, I can dimension it with the reference here, but it is a little bit harder for me. And if I use the not the individual references but entire walls options to be openings at the width, you can see that it is automatically taking me the 600 millimeters, which is from the reference plane of the window. So this for me would mean that I would be making dimensions of the opening, which is not just because the rough opening of this window has to be bigger because of this gypsum wall board which is going in here. So this is again making it unusable for me, because if someone would just go and dimension the thing like this, you can see that he would automatically make a mistake. So the people would need to know that they need to come here and dimension it from here to here to be able to see it, and it should then match here inside this rough width and rough height to be the same, to be able to do this. And even if you would be tagging it, if you go with the width and height, you would get wrong dimensions because of this wall or of this layer wrapping. So I do not think that this is actually usable. And if it's only like for the graphical representation, then I would do it with different tools. I would not use this layer wrapping. And the next thing is that, let's say that for other reasons which I mentioned before, I do not want to model this as a compound structure with all of the layers, but I need to make my, let's say, generic 200 millimeters. That this would be my concrete wall, and it needs to be modeled separately. Then I would create another wall. Let's use the duplicate type, generic 15 millimeters. And this wall would represent my, let's put it here so we can see it, my gypsum wall board. So you can see that if I try to move this one up, because this layer cannot wrap, and if I try to move it up, you can see that I cannot actually move it up. So if I have my wall which is only one layer, it can be only the core boundary, so then it cannot wrap, and then the wrapping is not usable. So if I use this for my gypsum wall board and I put my window here, Now let's put this on the 0 and join this, so it will cut. Now you can see that the wrapping here didn't do anything actually. So if I try to create this like to only show you what it does, if I put another layer which will go outside of the core boundary, and let's put this probably, let's say 50, or this one would be 50 millimeters and this one would be 15 millimeters, so we can better see it. Now you can see that the wrapping is following in this wall because it is joined to this opening, but it is not going all the way here through the 170 millimeters because it can only go inside of this wall layer. So you can see that it is wrapping here like this, but it doesn't follow all the way here. So this is the limitation, because you would probably need this to follow like this. And I don't know if you can actually do this. Probably you could create some family which would be super complex and you could do this. But for me, it is just too much work for something like this. And if you are modeling just the gypsum wall board with one layer, you cannot do this. So I will delete this one and put it to 15 millimeters again. So now you can see that it didn't do the thing which you would want it to do. And last, we can take a look on what it does to the scheduling. Let's go to put this one to Mark 5. And let's hit our wall material takeoff. Here we will go with the Mark 5. And let's take a look on this. You can see that the area is the same for all of them. And let's check what it will do with the material volume. So if it should be modifying the volume of the brick common and the gypsum wall board. So let's put this to by host, so it will not wrap. Okay, so now we can see that our wall material takeoff is like this. Let's put this now to, I will close this and this to be able to see it side by side, and let's see that if it will change something. So you can see, let's go to our brick common is the first one and the gypsum wall board is this one. I can probably hide the, or make it lower or shorter, something like this. So you can see now our values, and let's see what it does. So if I go now to my board, let's check the brick common. So this number, and gypsum wall board this number. Let's hit apply. And you can see here that it did nothing. So it is actually not able to use this for material volume as well. So if you try to use this for the volume, and or let's say that, okay, it can be too low. So let's put this. So we have 100 or 195. Let's put another one. And now let's change this to be driven by host. So you can see that there is 1.82 meters cubic. And now if I change this to go with both, check the number here. you can see that it didn't change. So even though this changed in the project, it did not change the material volume. So you can see that this is only the graphical representation of this wall. It doesn't have anything to do with the scheduling. So if you would try to use it for scheduling, you cannot actually do that. And if you want to use it just for graphical representation, it is only usable in floor plans, because in the section views this is not happening. So for me, this is making this tool unusable, because usually you do not have this type of detail in your floor plans. You have it like some schematic representation of the openings, and the details, you would actually create a detail of this connection.